Good afternoon, everybody. It's that time of the day where we check out the latest news headlines. Brought to you by Lay of the Land with me, Rolene Marks, and of course, only on the Israel Brief. So without further ado, let's take a look at those top stories, and we begin with a world first deal. That is a deal brokered between Israel and South Korea, which will see a vaccine swap of 700,000 Pfizer vaccines. What does this entail, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Right now, a plane is en route from Israel to Seoul with these vaccines on board, and in exchange, South Korea will send Israel about 700,000 Pfizer vaccines, and this is estimated to take place around September. This is a world first deal and has been approved by Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla. Now, these were the vaccines that Israel was going to give to the Palestinians as a humanitarian endeavor, but the Palestinians refused to take them, saying it did not meet their technical standards. However, even though the vaccines are due to expire in weeks, and Israel has pretty much rolled out as much as possible of its vaccine program, we still hope to vaccinate many more teenagers between the ages of 12 to 16, those who haven't had their coronavirus vaccine yet, and quite a few people have messaged during the last couple of weeks wanting to know why Israel hasn't donated vaccines to, say, a country like South Africa, whose vaccine rollout program is very slow. Well, these vaccine exchanges or deals have to be approved by the vaccine manufacturers, as this one has by Pfizer's CEO. In addition to this, Israel has donated a large amount of PPE to Uganda to help that African country deal with the coronavirus pandemic. In other news, some very concerning news, there were some very controversial and anti-Semitic comments made by Belarusian President Lukashenko at a ceremony honoring Soviet soldiers who served during World War II. Lukashenko is rumored to have said that Jews were able to get the world to understand the Holocaust, and now the world is on their knees. They bow before the Jews, and people are afraid to say anything against us because of the Holocaust. Now, these kind of comments are deemed anti-Semitic and very, very troubling, especially as we see a growing trend amongst Eastern European countries like Poland, like Lithuania, to try and absolve themselves of any responsibility or complicit behavior during the Holocaust. Some 800,000 Jews of Belarusian descent were murdered during the Holocaust, and while it was carried out by the Nazi genocidal machine, there were also citizens of these countries who were complicit in helping Nazis to find their Jewish neighbors and friends. And it also comes at a time where on that same day, Israel's President Reuven Rivlin had wished the Belarusian President happy Independence Day and spoke about the strength and the warm relationship and the ties between our two countries, and it remains to be seen whether or not these kind of comments will impact on bilateral relations. And our last story of the day takes us to the Palestinian Authority areas where there has been a significant crackdown on protests against the Palestinian Authority and President Mahmoud Abbas. Now, Palestinian Authority security have arrested at least 14 people and have been using violent methods like beating people with batons, using tear gas. In fact, over the weekend, a number of journalists were assaulted, including at least 5 female soldiers. The United Nations and the United States have condemned the protests and appealed, or the violent nature of these protests rather, and have appealed to Mahmoud Abbas to allow people to protest peacefully. So those are the top stories making headlines, and don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We have more in the saga between Stephen Schulman and the University of Cape Town, and the controversial comments by a professor there who said that Hitler had committed no crime. What are we talking about? Go read the article. It's also up on our Facebook page at Lottle's site. If you haven't already, please like us, follow us, share our content. We're on YouTube at The Israel Brief and also on Twitter at Lay of the Land with the digit 5. So from me, Rolene Marks, in the sweltering heat of Israel, I wish you all a safe and healthy rest of your day, and we'll meet again round about this time tomorrow.